Yeah.
We'll call the Cordova regular council meeting to order on October 2nd, 7 p.m. Please stand and join me in the pledge.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Mayor Allison.
Here.
Tom Baylor.
Here.
Kathy Sherman. Here. Jeff Guard.
Here.
Melina Meyer. Absent. Ann Schaefer.
Yes, here.
Krista Carpenter. Here. Ken Jones.
Here.
That's formal.
The regular agenda. Move to approve the November 2nd. Regular agenda. Second, any discussion? None, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Carries. Disclosure of conflicts of interest, ex parte communications. Hearing none, then we've got communications by participant visitors. There are no guest speakers. Any audience comments regarding agenda items?
Hello, Kelsey, 1.7 election. I wanted to comment on the planning and zoning capital improvement project list. I don't know how that factors into your guys' capital improvements list or how that impacts future grants, but I was disappointed to see public safety building number 6 on that list, having a walkway from North to South Harbor ahead of that. I and many other people at the public safety building, police officers, dispatchers, have spent a lot of time, Mayor Allison, you did too, painting the current building, working on things to get it to where it's a good space for them to be working in, but we need a new public safety building. Planning and zoning list isn't really in line with what you guys currently have for the city council capital improvement project list. All those streets improvements are after a public safety building. I think that's pretty appropriate. I hate potholes as much as the next person. Like myself, a good sidewalk, but I don't know if you guys are adopting that or what's happening with that, but I just wanted to make that comment. Also, in terms of revenue, I had a good conversation with somebody out of Alaska Airlines recently about a fish box tax for all our sports fishermen that come in, take some fish with them. There are a lot of other communities, a couple in the southeast, that have been doing it. Sitka generates $110,000 to $150,000 a year off that tax. It's $10 a box, only for sports fishermen. I get a lot of people in my office that complain about sports fishermen come in and take out pan trucks worth of fish and ship it out. And I think it's a good accountability measure for the community to see that they're paying a box tax. Doesn't sound like it's a very hard thing for Alaska Airlines to implement or do, and I think it would make a great little peanut to throw in the mix with trying to add the revenue. So even if it's a third of what Sitka makes, it's a little bit something. So those are my comments.
Thank you.
Dave Boyce from 609 Cedar. I just wanted to comment in support of that hydraulic boat trailer. When we get the harbor pulled apart, just ask Tony, there's going to be about 30 sanders that need to be pulled, and that will allow you to get them, closer together instead of, the travel lift they're far apart. Also, something to think about is the jack stands for 30 sanders. So I understand somebody's building those right now, but make sure those are available, before they start pulling the harbor apart. And then find out exactly how many guys they need to pull. Also, I'd like to support the schools getting their budget their costs go up, same as everybody else's. So, and hopefully you guys put all the school bond debt reimbursement in the bank that you got back. Missing the last 3 or 4 years, so that's it. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other audience comments?
Paul Tremblay, City Fire Marshal. Yeah, I'd like to comment about the upgraded community water supply, the extended water supply out to 6.5 mile or 6 mile area. That will also improve the city's ISO rating for a public comment that wants to come in after that. We're at a 4.4x right now. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Hearing none, chairperson, representatives, boards and commissions, CCMC. Board. School board. Heard from Alex earlier. We have a person sound RCAC position in our packet. Also have the planning commission's recommending capital improvement projects to city council. Do we approve that or do we?
It's just informational.
For information,
Just what,
their list.
correct.
So we don't take an official position as council on that.
I was gonna say, couldn't we take a look at their list if we bring our CIP list back to the table? We should be doing survey and stuff.
Certainly should be considering that. They should be considering our list when they do theirs. And the school districts requested if you got a report on it. Questions on? We don't have a student council report. They're not here, so we'll go on to the consent calendar for you.
I will take the roll on the consent calendar. Ann Schaefer,
Yes.
Kathy Sherman,
Yes.
Ken Jones,
Yes.
Tom Baylor,
Yes.
Jeff Guard,
Yes.
William Meyer is absent, Kristen Carpenter,
Yes.
and, oh, is that Melina? Hi, Melina. Okay. And Kristen.
Hi.
And Kristen Carpenter.
Yes.
Okay, the consent calendar is approved. Everyone's here.
Okay, let's get that, trailer order going because it's a long time lead time, I see.
What are you doing? I already emailed the guy. Get on it.
Okay, minutes were in the consent calendar. No consideration of bids, so we have reports of officers. My report, it's campaign season, so we've had pretty much all the candidates have come to town at one point or another and visited with us. We had Speaker Stutes and Senator Stevens here last week, and we get together with them. We had a little extra workshop with the staff and such with them, so that was good. We talked a little bit earlier about the use of the Cordova Center. Tom Carpenter got the Board of Fish to tentatively approve 2024 having in Cordova, although they are very concerned about our ability to provide the food, mostly is what they were concerned about. Having our restaurant's going to be open for breakfast and lunch. So I talked to Kathy at the chamber about that, and we are going to make sure that everybody has those dates, and I think that we should be able to convince enough people to be open that week is, or late October, so, good winter time, activity for us, and hopefully with some doors of a couple of the restaurants in town, and their willingness to be open this time of year, that will help us with that. I heard from Senator Sullivan's office today, and they're tentatively planning a trip to Cordova next week. And they don't have an exact time yet. She was going to firm everything up by the end of today, and I didn't hear from her again after about 2 o'clock today. So I'll let you know if that happens. And that's about it for my report. Questions? City Manager's report. Emma.
So staff has been very busy with budget, and obviously that is a priority at this moment in time. But also a priority is the South Harbor rebuild, and an RFP has been issued, and we're in a holding pattern until responses come back in a couple of weeks, and then the selection committee will be meeting over a long weekend to discuss the applications, and we'll get that probably by the first meeting in December. You guys will have something in front of you for contracts. So that's working along, and we're continuing to look for resources to fill the budget hole that we have. And so we're actively doing that. I did want to report that we did apply for the Ports and Infrastructure Development Grant, which is called PID. We were not awarded that grant, but the good news is we were in a competitive situation with another regional project, which was awarded funds by the PID program. It will impact our ferry dock here in Cordova, also Ticklick and Chenita. So there's a big infrastructure project that is going to be coming down the pike in the next year or two with those PID funds. And then finally, I do want to address something that is starting to emerge as a problem in coastal communities that have mountainsides along them, and that's called landslides. I don't know, for those of you who are aware, Petersburg did have a landslide over the weekend. It took out utility lines, blocked the road. Seward had a landslide last year. Sitka and Haynes both had fatality landslides. And there's a potential major slide that could happen here in the Sound over on the Whittier side that we're all aware of. And what's precipitating all of this is the huge amount of moisture that's coming down and basically floating the dirt, the unattached stuff, creating a slippery slope for any landslide to occur on steep, rocky slopes. So we're doing a little bit of research just to get information about what's available for our community to be prepared for that and to assess possible risks. But we now have 5 coastal communities that have been impacted in a significant way by a landslide. And I think we need to be proactive, and we will be proactive. So we're doing some research on that. And that's it for me at this point in time.
Wasn't that LIDAR study that they were doing to do with landslides?
Not so much landslides as
Avalanches.
yeah, that it's to kind of get a sense of the topography so that they have a better sense of areas that potentially could. But we're going to explore it. Sitka has a very well developed program which includes a response system that they just launched, and I'm in contact with the folks down there to see what might be we could utilize here that would be things that they've developed since their landslide that could help us as a citizenry protect ourselves or at least understand the situation better. So I'll have a report on that probably not until January. So.
Questions for Manager? Tom? As far as people parking on the path.
I mentioned it, and she said that's not practice, and she didn't feel like that was an issue, but she appreciated she would,
There won't be people parking.
yeah.
Okay. Is the,
I want to say one other thing, which was a piece of information I learned, with the helicopter pad. The way that the helicopters come in, they fly over and make sure everything's okay, fly out, and then come back in again. So there's always two approaches, and she said that sometimes folks have been concerned that there was something in the way that they couldn't land, but it's their practice to come and investigate first, fly over once, leave, come back, and then land. So she mentioned that, and I'm sure she can follow up if there's any more questions about that.
came from a pilot that has a view of the fuel pad and sees it constantly being used. So, I believe council has talked about the fish box packs, and there seems to be like a good supply of camera cans. I don't know if you want to address it now, but I think we looked into that. Somebody can do it.
I don't know. I certainly will look into it. I'm ignorant about it.
Didn't we? I don't know what the details were, but it certainly if Sid is doing it or somebody else is doing it, we should be able to do it too. I think it's had support from council. I just thought that there was some reason that I couldn't implement it. I don't, but it's worth looking into. Is the general fund, we talked about putting the school bond investment back into the general fund. Is the general fund invested? Or is it just sitting there?
It's not actively invested in long-term investments. It's a short-term investment pool.
Okay, just curious. I guess something that was brought up here, as far as all the what's coming out here for the harbor project, I'm sure the harbor manager or master has looked into that, but it's something to think about is we're going to have support systems for all those boats. We just can't really have to pull your boats. So I'm assuming that the harbor commission and the harbor master has covered all of that. We'll be ready to assist people.
Well, today, a news release went out today. Basically, it's the first communication to the community that vessels will be impacted, and city is working on plans to try to make it easier for folks, but that people need to just be aware that they will need to be vacating the harbor. So, and we have a good team on the ground trying to kind of figure out opportunities, getting travel in this new lift in place, getting boat stands, all those sorts of things are precursors to making sure everybody has a place. We've looked into other opportunities, other properties where we can dry dock boats, pull them out, especially fillers. So there's a lot of things that are in play, and we're just starting the communication.
You know how that's going to go. There's going to be several of them. What do you mean I have to set my boat up there? Well, we need to provide something to set it on because I don't pull my boat up.
I think that's standard practice that the boat owner provides the blocking.
Well, okay.
Am I correct, Tony?
Every time I pull my boat, I provide my blocking.
Yeah, there is a lot of commercial fishermen or people with boats that have their own blocking, but you have DMI, which supplies a lot of the blocking or stands for them. We also have some. We just bought some more from the Blacklers that they had on their boats that we impounded. So, yeah, we're working on it, but we're working on it.
Because there was a private company that was providing blocking, which they're no longer in business. So
Right. Dutch Marine Industries is now doing that.
oh, they're picking up the slack.
Yes.
Perfect. Yeah. All right. I'm not a boat owner.
You're a little boat owner.
Yeah, just talking about what I counsel. No, I was just curious because it's going to be a huge logistical deal to bring all of that.
Yeah, we're still working on a plan and trying to get it sorted out. It is, I agree, it's going to be difficult. But we want a new harbor. We need to get them cleared out.
Yeah. That's the puzzle here, block.
I was going to say I'm going to take it on order because I am ordering blocking.
Thank you. questions for the manager? Online, any questions for the manager?
Not for me, thank you.
No questions here. I just have a question, not really for the manager, but about that travel trailer, maybe for Tony through the manager. Just what was that lead time update? Are we going to get this anytime?
Yeah, it's 210 to 240 days. I've already, like I said, emailed Kendrick Equipment, told them that we will need a rush on it, and it does not sound like that's going to be an issue. We're not going to get it 6 months ahead of time, but we'll get it here because they're going to do training with it and everything. So.
Keep on.
Oh, I will.
Okay, thank you.
Videotape that training. Don't send them a check yet.
No.
I've said this, but the infrastructure of this building, videotape it because we have so much staff changeover.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah. Easy to do. So, any other questions for the manager? Last chance. So there's no additional South Harbor rebuilding. Okay, to the clerk's report.
I don't have anything specific to report.
They're voting for the state now.
Correct. Ruth has been upstairs this week and will be again Monday and Tuesday.
Okay. Talked to Ruth a couple times. She said it's pretty active. Okay, ordinance and resolution for consent calendar. The business, we have none. No miscellaneous business, pending agenda. List, calendar. We're currently collecting names for the commissions.
Correct. I've been organizing that and we're getting a few coming in. I just sent out some emails to all people who applied within the last few years, so that's drummed up a little bit of interest. But I told them staff to boards and commissions to members to drum up interest. So I'll tell you guys again and we'll tell the public right now. There's seats on boards and commissions coming up, and November 30th is the deadline to apply. We'll appoint it at December 7th. So for pending agenda, I have, I don't know if Sam had talked to you, Helen, about the possibility of a special meeting, maybe, to not have to wait until December 7th to award that. Yeah. So what's council's, I just don't know, well, I guess we have one more meeting to talk about it, but she was thinking of the week of like maybe November 30th. 2 weeks between meetings, the 2nd of November and the 1st of December. So that 30th would be the Wednesday before. And it's a little ways after Thanksgiving. But anyway, maybe just keep it thinking about it, and we can talk about it again at the 16th meeting.
I will not be here.
For the
Probably
16th,
not on the
right?
For the 16th.
Right. And then, Tom, you had mentioned maybe not being here.
On the phone.
You'll be on the phone. So,
November 16th.
so, never mind.
So.
I'll be there.
You're They have my Virginia Mason appointment 16th and 17th, so I think I will be. It will be in Colorado. So.
Will everyone on the phone be available for the November 16th meeting? I mean, we do have Ann and Tom at this point, so that's 2.
I'll be there.
Okay.
I'll be there.
Hopefully I'll be there too.
Me too. Right?
Yeah, I'll be there.
Okay, so we will go on as planned and Ann or someone will run it. Okay.
Okay, anything else on the pending agenda? Here's none, then we'll move on to audience participation. Anything you'd like to talk about? Fair game. Come on up, say your name, address, and your comments.
My name is Corey Blake, 708 Beach Street, and we seem to have an issue on Beach Street. And for years now, I've lived there for 2 years, over 2 years. As you go down on the Lake Avenue, there's a stop sign there, so I'm legally supposed to stop. And on one side, there's a house 4 feet from the road. We all know whose that is. On the other side, we have a boat that's parked in the easement right now. And we have no visual for anybody coming up the road as we go out to turn this way or that way. And you have to ease down, look around this boat, look up the hill, and oh, there's somebody's truck parked going down the other way with the blinkers on. I've reported this over and over. And on this way, you got to get out so far that if somebody's speeding, they'll get you. And hey, if it's winter time, guess what? I'm sliding across the road. And so it's a liability for me to even live there. And I have other people, we've all talked to it in the neighborhood. We all know them, Marie, Marlene Moffett, Sharon Ermal, Pete Brocker, we've all talked to it. We've been complaining about this for a while for a boat to have a visual. Every other town, every other intersection has visual. We do not. And I've tried to address this with the city. I've tried to address it with the troopers. I've tried to address it with the head of the state. And I don't get no action on it. So I'm just concerned for my own safety. If somebody sees me sliding down that hill, I'll give you a good example. I came down Ski Hill today. Everybody stopped until I stopped. But they could see me coming. They can't see us coming. Either way. And when I've complained about somebody being parked for half an hour with his flashers on by his house in the wrong lane, and nothing happens, he was there on the 31st for over half an hour. And I complained weeks ago to the police department. So we'd just like to have some results for safety for us. Right now, if I turned up, if I was going up Lake Avenue to go up 8th Street, and I pulled in on my legal curb, my mirror would hit his jet guard on his boat. And I don't want to have to come in here again. Because I don't know what to do. I just know I've gone down and talked to the person this spring very nicely about it. He said, oh, I'm going to cut some trees and take care of it. He has done nothing. He's moved his boat 2 feet in. He's 6 feet from the curb on Lake Avenue. And it was 4 from the white line last year. So, you know, I have to wait to go up the road when somebody's coming down it with my big truck and let them go out. Either way they go, it's a common courtesy on that road. It is not wide enough for 2 cars to go up. The plow thing went up the other day. It made one swipe up there, and that's pretty much our road. So if you could do some improvements or at least help our visual out for safety matters, I'd really appreciate it.
Any other comments? General? Hearing none, then we'll move on to council comments. Councilor Baylor.
Yeah, thanks for having me here. I've always encouraged people that have an issue, whether it's a positive or negative issue, to write council or correspondence, kind of explain the issues. What that does is it puts it on the agenda and it gives us an opportunity to speak to it, make a comment on it, maybe get answers on it. But when things come to us here at the end of the meeting, unfortunately, we don't have anything to talk about. So it's just throwing it out there. I've always encouraged people to come forward, speak to us, but put it in writing, address it to council, and then it's a little easier for us to address it. And it gives the city manager a heads up, because it'll be in the packet ahead of time. It gives
that position or whoever it involves, it gives them a position to get an answer and maybe get it resolved and come out at the next meeting. So that just helps everybody all around. So, hopefully this issue gets looked at. Thank you. Sherman.
No comments.
Councilmember Gard?
Yeah, I'd like to thank staff for all the effort they put on the budget. I would like to make one request on the future budget documents, if we could put dollar values in the next year's budget instead of percentages of change. It would be easier for me to read and see. But anyway, I appreciate all the work everybody's put in on everything, and I guess that's about it. Thank you.
Meyer.
Yeah, thank you for all the hard work everyone's put in. Sorry I wasn't able to make it to the work session, but I will be watching the YouTube playback on that to get caught up. But thanks for all the work. I know that you guys put a lot into all that, so thanks.
Just in case you came late, we're not done with the work session yet. We're gonna, we just recessed and we're going back in. Business is over. So, Councilmember Schaefer.
Yeah, thank you to all the staff who came and helped us during the work session. That was really informative and helps us just have some context for the numbers and know where they're coming from. So yeah, thank you to everyone for coming and their hard work.
Councilmember Carpenter?
Yeah, I just echo the comments that have been made already, thanking the staff for the great work in putting the budget together.
Councilmember Jones?
No comments.
Okay. One last move to adjourn. Second to adjourn. Any discussion? We will be adjourned. We'll take 2 minutes. 2 minutes?
I'm good.
2 minutes.